Good afternoon, I'm Dennis Galucki, and welcome to the 413th Imagine Buffalo program, and another great virtual Imagine lecture hosted by the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Thank you so much for joining us today. This program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, or CESAN as I pronounce it, the acronym, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. Now, this is the third Tuesday of the month, so our focus is on history and future. The idea central to the Imagine program, by appreciating where we've been as a community, we can better imagine where we're going as a community. We're going to start with our speakers shortly, but first, a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted during our speakers presentation, which will last about 15 minutes or so. We'll have time for questions at the end. So if you do have a question, please type it into the chat box and we'll get to as many as we can. This program is being recorded. You'll be able to watch it again later on the library's Facebook and YouTube channels and share the link with your networks. As a reminder, Life Willing will be here on Zoom every Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. with a great lineup of local speakers. Now, today's theme is Imagine Greater Buffalo as a premier North American cultural and nature center. And our featured speaker is Bren Price. Bren Price Sr. He is a retired school teacher, administrator, and educational consultant who now serves as a docent with Explore Buffalo and loves to tell Buffalo presidential stories during his Presidents in Buffalo walking tours. He is also a Buffalo Niagara ambassador and a trustee of the Buffalo Presidential Center. The Buffalo Presidential Center's mission is to encourage the study of Buffalo and Western New York's contribution to the presidency and national affairs, and to share it with the public. The Buffalo Presidential Center has a large collection in the Buffalo and Erie County Central Library and invites the public to visit their presidential museum on Saturdays between 10 and 4. Mr. Price has been collecting political memorabilia for nearly 45 years and has a special collecting interest in Buffalo-related presidents Millard Fillmore, Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, and Theodore Roosevelt. He also collects memorabilia from Abraham Lincoln, the women's suffrage movement, and other Buffalo historical items. So now let's welcome Bren Price. Bren, take it away.
Thank you, Dennis. It's great to be here. And again, I'm Bren Price with the Buffalo, I'm a trustee with the Buffalo Presidential Center. And I'm here to give you a quick review or overview about the Buffalo Presidential Center. We're really one of Buffalo and Western New York's newest cultural attractions, filling in an historical niche, if you would. We're kind of in between the Theodore Roosevelt inaugural site, which focuses on one president, Theodore Roosevelt, and the Buffalo History Museum, which has a very broad cultural, historical footprint in this community. So we kind of fall in between there. And so right now, I'm speaking from the Buffalo Presidential Center space, our little museum, on the second floor of the library. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about our past and our future over the next few minutes. First of all, let me tell you about our co-founders. I think most everybody is familiar with these two women trailblazers, Mary Ann Sacramento Friedman and Joan Bozier. Both of these ladies, in founding the Buffalo Presidential Center in the 1990s, got together a small group of people who were interested in our community and its history, and specifically presidential history, since it's pretty significant. They've been an inspiration to us and key contributors as we have moved forward. Now, Dennis read the mission before, and one thing I've learned about mission statements is that they're really tough to write, and nobody really reads them, or they're seldom read. But at any rate, I want to emphasize the fact that we are an all-volunteer 501c3 nonprofit organization chartered by the state of New York, and we do like to tell the stories of Buffalo's presidents and the presidential history. We've been really proud to collaborate over the last 10 years or more with our many partners in the Western New York historical and cultural scene. And just to name a few of them, we've done a lot of programming with the Buffalo History Museum, the Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural Site, the North Park Theater, and the Naval Park and Forest Lawn Cemetery, and obviously we're right here in the Buffalo and Erie County Library. We've also done programs in their branches. And for over a decade, the Buffalo Presidential Center we've been doing about a dozen programs, exhibits, and activities a year, including a speaker series. That speaker series includes programs on women trailblazers like Shirley Chisholm and Belva Lockwood. We've done programs on the presidents and the press. We even did one on neurological ailments in U.S. presidents. That was really interesting. We've also done exhibits. We usually have one big exhibit each year. Starting in 2014, we did something on Francis Folsom Cleveland, and then in 15 we did one on the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln visit to Buffalo, and we did another one at the Forest Lawn Cemetery in 2016. That was a huge exhibit. Maybe some of you saw that. And we went way out into the community and did exhibits at the Niagara Heritage Village as well on Uncle Sam. That was well attended. So the point is, we've done a lot in the community, free public programs. And all of this we've done with no employees and a 20-member volunteer board. So we're pretty proud of that and hope you are too. Here's something that I like to ask people because they don't know that we really have a unique presidential history with so many stories to tell. Did you know that Buffalo is first? See this quote by Brady Carlson. Buffalo is full of inspiration because it has, next to Washington, the richest presidential history of any city in the United States. People find that hard to believe, but Brady Carlson, who's an NPR host, spent several days in Buffalo in the research library, and he said he could not believe how dynamic and vast our presidential history here is in Western New York.
Bren, can I break in for just a second?
Yes.
Were you going to share your slides?
Oh, I thought I was sharing the slides.
Nope, I don't think you hit share screen.
Uh-oh. Okay. I'm really sorry about that. Where am I? Share screen. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Can you see it now?
Not yet. Oh, it looks like it's coming up now. Okay.
Okay, you got it now. Okay, let me just go back quick because I want to show the images. You're familiar with Marianne Sacramento Friedman and Joan Bozier. There's our mission, which nobody likes to read, really. And what we've done so far, explain that. And The Dead Presidents, this is the book that Brady Carlson wrote. You find it in the library here. We have this huge collection. this man, collector Rich Richardson, collected for 50 years. I mean, he took his family on vacation. All he did is collect. He had thousands and thousands of items in that collection, which was donated to us in 2015. It's right here in the center. We can't show you all of it at one time, but if you're good, I might take you back and give you a sneak peek. It comprises of thousands of items from the 19th, 20th, and 21st century, many of which are on display right now in the center. And this is our new home. You get a picture here of our new home in the Central Library up on the second floor next to the B is for Book exhibit. And we want to give a big shout out to County Executive Mark Poloncarz and the Erie County Legislature and the Buffalo and Erie County Library, who really enabled us to move into this new museum space. We've got about 1,700 square feet on the second floor of the library. We moved in October 2020. And in November, when we had our opening, Mark Poloncarz and the public and the press were crowded in here talking about our opening to the public. 5 minutes later, he walked to another space out in the library by the book, and all the reporters are there, and he announced that everything was closing down. So we just opened up, and he just closed us down the following Monday. So that's the way it was for a long time. We reopened on April 24th, and our museum is now open to the public on Saturdays from 10 until 4, or special appointment. We'd like you to come and visit our museum. Here you see pictures of visitors looking at some of the artifacts. This one in particular is on William McKinley. So we have display cases right now, one focused on Miller's Fillmore with an information board on the wall. We have another one on Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, and those are kind of our big five in terms of the presidential visits to Buffalo. But we also have remembered the women, the first ladies, Abigail Fillmore and Frances Folsom Cleveland, and our lady trailblazers, Belva Lockwood from Niagara County, who ran for president actually against Grover Cleveland in 1884 and 1888. And Shirley Chisholm, many of you may remember that name. Shirley was a legitimate Democratic hopeful candidate for president and ran on several primaries, including here in New York State. And she's buried in Forest Lawn Cemetery. And then we have other Western New York luminaries that we discuss. So we would like you very much to come and take a visit. Now, if you look at this picture over on the right, there's a couple of kids that I gave questions to. I have a 10-question scavenger hunt, and they can find the answer to all these presidential questions about presidents in Buffalo by looking around the room. And you can see the excitement on this young girl's face when she found the answer to the last question. So we are encouraging families to come in with their children because I think there's something that they can get excited about too. Our vision for the future, we really want to focus on adult programming when we can return to in-person programming both in the library and the community. We want to expand the range of audiences we serve to include Western New York's diverse racial and ethnic populations. I think there are a lot of hidden stories in our rich presidential and political community history, and we want to tell those stories too. Specifically, there's the James Parker story about an African-American man who downed Leon Czolgosz after he shot William McKinley. That story was hidden from the press, and we want to tell that story. We also want to get more involved in student programming by the creation of an educational center with original material to expose. They're not going to learn or recall everything, but we want to expose them to Buffalo's rich presidential legacy. And we are also going to be offering digital and video and in-person activities for children of all ages. We also hope to develop our volunteer and internship programs. We would like docents and volunteers from all age groups. They tend to be those folks who aren't working. People like me, volunteers, but we would like to have all people of all ages volunteering, and we also would like to tap into some college students who are in collegiate museum studies programs. I think they have a lot to learn here. And the other thing is sustainability. In order for us to reach as many community members as possible, the museum admission and admission to our programs is free. How do you do that? Well, in order to sustain our center for the future, that requires support from memberships and sponsors and the general public. So I want to give you an invitation to come visit us Saturdays 10 to 4 or by appointment. We hope to expand those hours soon. I urge you to go to our website, buffalopresidentialcenter.org. You can find out a whole lot more about here and see a lot of images. And if you go to Chuck Lakusha's website, many of you may be familiar with buffaloah.com. He has taken dozens and dozens of pictures of the artifacts and the wallboards that are here. Go to his site. You'll be impressed. And then come here and take a look in person. If you want to volunteer, if you're interested in doing that, please contact us through the website. And of course, since we're doing this for free, anybody wants to donate, we're ready. Just go to our website and you can click the donate button, or you can send a check to the Buffalo Presidential Center at 1 Lafayette Square, Buffalo, New York, 14203. So that's the quick version, Dennis. I think I'm there on the time and allowing for questions. Perhaps we do have some questions.
Well, let's find out. Leah, let's start. Let's re-invite everybody to submit in the chat room there to any questions you have. But let's you and I chat for a bit. We had the Rich Newberger a few weeks back, and as they take old footage from video footage from news clippings and trying to preserve it, I was thinking, and he brought up the assassination of McKinley and the history of it. Now, there's no footage of that, but it's part of the storytelling. It would be neat to get some of that footage in your library, I would think. Have you had any discussions with them, or are you open to ideas like that, Bren?
Oh, absolutely. We do have a video capacity here in the museum. Well, I should say it's coming. We have that on order because we've received money for a grant to do small group programming, and so we will have the capacity to show any footage, I think, although it would take a digital expert, not me, to figure that out.
All right, that's a good start. Leah, any questions from our audience?
We don't have any questions yet.
Well, let's give them a little more time to think. I've always believed, going back to Landmark Society of the Niagara Frontier days when I was a volunteer there, that our presidential story is profound, especially in that last half of the 19th century. I mean, it just, yes. You've got the 13th president, the 22nd, the 24th, the 25th. I mean, you really have stories that connect Buffalo and American presidential lives and deaths in the case of William McKinley. So
and Abraham Lincoln.
And Abraham Lincoln. Why don't you just mention that connection? And most people
Yeah.
not
Well, I'll tell you
clear.
what people don't understand, that there's been 143 visits by presidents before, during, or after their presidency. And the first president to visit Buffalo was James Monroe back in 1817. And so every president from James Garfield on has been in Buffalo, campaigning, speaking, and that includes Chautauqua because 9 presidents spoke in Chautauqua, and starting with Ulysses Grant. And we also have 2 vice presidential candidates, Kemp and Bill Miller from Lockport. And we have a first lady, Frances Folsom Cleveland. We have 2 women trailblazers. We have Theodore Roosevelt, who was here 19 times in his career. His second cousin, Franklin, was here 15 times. Bill Clinton, 9 times. So, I mean, this was a passageway for campaigning, and people came, you know, the presidential candidates came through here all the time. So there are so many presidential stories to tell, and whenever, I mean, if we can get any assistance from other people, whether it's digital or whether it comes from a newspaper article, I'm always adding to that list. I've added 5 or 6 visits in the last year.
Good.
So if people want to look at the visits, it's not fully updated yet. We have to make some changes. But if you go to our website and you click on the link that says Presidents in Buffalo, you will see the list of most of the presidents, all of the presidents who have visited Buffalo before, during, or after their presidency. I mean, the bottom line is we have this incredibly rich presidential history. A lot of people don't know about it, and we want to tell them.
All right, well, we're going to do our best at the center to build on that with this. Leah, any other questions? Because let's start getting the audience in here.
Yes, we do. Is the public able to access the programs you referenced?
Yes, they are free, and all of the time, they are posted on our website. They're posted on Facebook. They're posted on Instagram. They're posted, a lot of times they make the paper, or they can just contact us through the website to find out what the most recent programs are. We also do programs in the community. If someone at a senior center or someone that has a club that wants us to come and talk, we're also very willing to do that on a number of different presidential topics.
Right. Let me just piggyback that. Are they archived on your website and recorded digitally, either video or audio?
Some are. We actually, on our website, have the Leon Czolgosz trial video. This was redone by the Erie County Bar Association. Mm-hmm. The Erie County Bar Association sponsored this, and you can actually get that. And we hope to have more. We do have some recordings on there right now of programs that were done, and we hope to do more in the future.
Good idea. What else, Leah? Who else?
Do you have a favorite object or artifact from the collection?
Oh, there are. That's a tough one. I'm just looking around the room here. I personally love things that were direct to Buffalo. I have a little photographic image of Lincoln's assassin, and this photographic image was produced at a photographer 3 blocks from where I'm sitting right now at 244 Main Street. So that is really cool. There's so much as I'm looking around the room that we could tell the stories about. It's hard for me to pick one out. We do have a campaign book that was written about Millard Fillmore in 1856, and the publisher was a Buffalo publisher. We actually have an advertising card that goes with it. That's kind of interesting, and also another Buffalo connection.
Yeah, any other questions? Because I've got a few myself here.
Oh yeah, we have one more question. They would like to know if you are open to and what is the process for related acquisitions to the museum?
We are open to those that fit with our mission and that are about Buffalo presidents, and especially if they're objects that we don't already have. And if anyone is interested in checking out whether it would fit with our collection, we'd love to talk to them. And they can send an email again through the Buffalo Presidential Center or to me at bpricesr@AOL. I would be more than happy to discuss that. We get questions like that at least once a month. Some people have newspapers and magazines. Sorry, we're not interested in newspapers and magazines or bumper stickers. But some folks have really interesting objects in their possession that would fit nicely in our collection and that we could exhibit.
Especially if they relate to presidents with Buffalo connections, I would think.
Yes.
Tell me, I would think most cities would have people like yourself really engaged in collecting various items relating to presidents that maybe have visited their cities. Is there an association of folks that get together and share their collections or have speakers or at different cities? Is there such a
all over the country, there is a group called the American Political Items Collectors. And there are chapters and members all over the country in all the big cities. In fact, I just returned from a weekend excursion to Michigan where we had a political memorabilia show. It was open to the public, but all of us get together to buy, sell, and trade with each other. It's not just trading objects, but trading stories and information. And a lot of times at our national convention, this year it will be in Nashville, Tennessee, we have major speakers who come to talk. So there's a lot of sharing. There's a lot of people who have very specific interests, like just the Kennedy chapter or the third party chapter. People love to collect items from third party candidates. And so people that just collect posters and so forth. So yes, there's a national organization. It's not very large, but it's quite active. And I've been a part of that for almost 50 years.
That's good to hear. And I'm thinking this is the 10th anniversary of the 2011 National Trust for Historic Preservation conference that came to Buffalo, selected us over a few other competitors like Philadelphia, Hartford. And if there is such a conference like that, once COVID is fully gone and these conferences return, we should try to get that to Buffalo. And I think that would shine a wonderful spotlight on your efforts with the Presidential Center. Does that make sense?
It does. In fact, in 2010, I helped coordinate a national convention, which was in Buffalo. And a lot of people within our hobby organization want to come back to Buffalo. The problem is, I don't think I have the energy to put on a national convention again. So, but yes, we certainly would be interested in that.
And our audience knows people that do have the energy to assist you, Bren. So let them start communicating with you. You mentioned the mission statement, and I have to tell you that when it was 2009 when I wrote the description of the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature. And I want to reemphasize it because you're such a good example. It is a digital enterprise and network designed to help link volunteers and lifelong learning communities as part of the Buffalo Chautauqua idea, I called it. And it's every one of our culturals has created its own audience, its own lifelong learning communities. And you're doing that with your presidential center. So my hat's off to you. It's volunteers that make this community, I think, very special. Every town's got volunteers, but I really believe Buffalo has an abundant number of good people that have helped do their share as volunteers to make the community work well.
Dennis, if I could piggyback on that for a second, I want to get a shout out to Explore Buffalo. When you talk about volunteers, Explore Buffalo has over 200 walking, kayaking, bicycling, bus tours about the history and culture of Western New York. And I have I do a Presidents in Buffalo walking tour a few times a month for Explore Buffalo. So if anybody wants to dig in and walk a couple of miles down around the square, if you will, be glad to have you. Try Explore Buffalo.
Well, and you mentioned Chuck Lacuse's buffaloah.com site, and I'll reinforce that. Cezanne itself is privileged to be right on his homepage, and Chuck and I worked together as partners for several years. If you want to retire, you'll almost need to retire to spend legitimate time on Chuck's website. It'll take you the rest of your retirement to look through it. It's quite a site, and it's a good example again of the volunteerism that Explore Buffalo does. Brad Hahn has been a speaker here often and will be again in September as they prepare for their Doors Open Buffalo program they do every year. So our time is up. Folks, I'm going to thank you again, Bren, for a great job, and your whole volunteer group that have put this together at the library. Something to look forward to visiting, and we'll see if we can't help publicize it as best. Maybe it's time for a virtual reality, 3D virtual reality program that will help bring the Presidential Center to the public instead of waiting for the public to visit you. So that'll be on tap. Brandon, we'll talk about that in the future. Folks, thank you for joining us today. You make the program a reality. Join us again next week, same time, same Zoom link, when we will be hearing from Greg Stevens, the Executive Director of the Niagara River Greenway Commission. I'm Dennis Galecki. Be well and have a good afternoon.